Let the moms out.
Woo, 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 woo.
So animated. You can tell us the second one. We've already had a coffee. Today is a very special topic because it's a topic that you requested and is a juicy one. We are going to be talking about intimacy after kids. Do yourself a favor if you are not watching this. Please click the link that we're going to include here and watch this on YouTube, because what Paula just did, it's why we're friends. It's why we're friends. Anyway, let's talk about intimacy after I was going to say intimacy after sex. Intimacy after kids. And I'm going to start with Paula because I think she has intimacy stories more recent than mine. I just gave birth. Although I do have some to share. But anyway, Paula.
When is the last time? Sorry.
We will get there. But I want to start asking you questions. I'm gonna start. What was I can stop laughing. Okay, I can stop laughing at your video. You're so ridiculous. Anyway, what was the most unexpected thing about your intimacy with your husband? Please do not. If it's not with your husband, don't confess that here in the podcast. I'm friends with him.
Don't share
it, please. Okay, what was the hardest, weirdest, oddest, most challenging part about intimacy after you give birth after giving birth?
Everything was really weird. Intimacy wise, it was always hard for me. I'm very, this sounds really weird to say, tight.
Heyo.
I cringed myself as I said this. Anyway, so it was difficult regardless. But then I didn't think that, after birth it would be like, it was worse. My first few times was painful, but then it was fine. And then after birth, I knew it would be painful, but I didn't expect it to be as painful as it was. And it was it kind of made me shut down. So I kind of felt no, I can't do this type of thing. Nope, this is wrong. Something's wrong. Nope, this can't happen. So it took me very, very long time for us, a few tries to actually get back into it, to stop being painful. A lot of lube, but
oh my God.
Yeah, it was very painful.
Okay, so for reference, you didn't have a vaginal birth. You had a C-section.
No,
because I was about to say, they always say you're looser after giving birth, but obviously for you that doesn't relate, because that you're looser if you're opening your vagina, but if you're
but I didn't do that.
Opening your
vagina. Then also I didn't expect it to be different.
Yeah. The amount of things that are gonna be said on this episode, for the love of God.
Prepare yourself. It's coming. The episode that's been waited.
See, for me, well, first of all, it was hard to find the time alone. And then with my first baby, and then I think for me, the hardest part was it felt weird to want to be kinky and sexual because I was a mom. And it took me a little bit to unfuck myself from mind fuck, I had this weird situation happening in my brain where every time I wanted to be feminine or sexy or whatever, it was but you're a mom. It was this and I remember I had a friend. So I had a friend. Yeah. But it's weird because it wasn't shame you shouldn't have sex with your husband. And it's weird because I wouldn't have that judgment. But for some reason, it felt so you should be with your baby or breastfeeding or something. You shouldn't be, here being it was so odd. That whole thing of
it kind of felt almost a waste of time as well. Because I felt that because it was just I shouldn't be doing there's so much else I should be doing. This is ew, no. I should be looking after my baby. What the fuck am I doing?
That's what I'm feeling now. Hard. So now I feel with my first, it was the whole you're a mom, what are you doing? And now with my second, it's more there's so much that needs to be done. Can you really take 20 minutes for this? As if it would take us 20 minutes on the first time after all this time. It's like,
It wouldn't
we
even
need
anyway.
I'm like, we need 2 minutes, but yeah, that's so weird. And I have a friend who, this is years ago, but I remember she got married. And after she got married, she started dressing differently. Like she would wear like pantsuits and all these things. And I remember one day, like talking to her, she was like, "Oh, I love how you dress." And I was like, "Well, if you want to, I could like because I was leaving the season and I was like, I'm leaving. I can give you some of this stuff." And she was like,
Shedding your
"No,
clothes.
I would, yeah." She's like, "I would feel just wrong." And I was like, "Why?" And she's like, and then she confessed that after she got married, it was almost like a switch in her brain where she felt that she needed to dress a certain way or look a certain way because she was now a wife. So I don't think it's particular to just motherhood.
No.
But I'm fascinated by this, and I'm wondering if you're listening to this and you have a story of your own similar to this, like a moment of your life where there was a switch that you felt that you had to change something about your personality or your relationships or the way you dress. Please share with us because I find it so fascinating how like I gave birth with this man that I had known. Like I was with him for 7 whole years before we were together as a mom and dad. Like we were a couple for 7 years doing all this stuff sexually intimately, and all of a sudden I've been a mother now for 2 weeks. Not 2 weeks, we were not trying to have sex in 2 weeks, whatever, 3 months.
Yeah,
And
six
all of a
weeks.
sudden, yeah, and all of a sudden, you know I couldn't see myself do, you
Yeah,
know
doing it. Yeah, no.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a very weird position to be in. And also one of the things that affected me was breastfeeding as well. Like breastfeeding was one of
Mm.
the mind fucks that, because it's one of my, like, I don't know, like it kind of horns me up. And sorry, I can't do this seriously, so I'm sorry, this is gonna come out a lot of times. So yeah, so when I was breastfeeding, I kind of was feeling like a bit, ready for it, and that was really fucked up. And I was just like, oh no, what? And I was just like
That's so
disgusted with myself
weird.
about it, and I felt so like guilty. Like it makes me feel guilty, like just thinking about intimacy at a time, and it was just like, oh no, no,
I would
no, no.
totally feel weird too. So here's the funny thing because we've talked about this recently and I thought it was fascinating because Paula used to tell me how she had a difficult time breastfeeding. And I never asked details because I assumed it was difficulties with, him biting or whatever the breastfeeding situation is. And like I mentioned in my previous episode, um, I loved breastfeeding. My first time was seamless. It was like automatically perfect, beautiful, and I loved it. But here's what's interesting. So my nipples are one of my zones of like my sexual zones. Like I love it. I usually like get really into the
That's
mood.
a better
If
word than what I said.
you're welcome. Too late though.
Thank you. Yeah.
And surprisingly though, when I breastfeed, I feel a lot of pleasure, but it's a different pleasure. It's never been, ooh, I'm horny or ooh, I want to have sex. It's always been this deep, deep pleasure of like I'm feeding my child and it feels good in my body, but it doesn't feel sexually good. Does that make sense? Like it doesn't at all. I've never felt while breastfeeding that what I'm feeling, whether in my nipples or inside or like any kind of feeling that I've felt has never been associated in my head with anything sexual, which I find
Yeah, my head
fascinating
went
because
straight to
that's the thing.
sexual.
And yours went there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have really done
And not
that.
in a
That would
good
have
way though, like, which is annoying.
obviously not in a good way. You
Like,
have your baby on
why?
your
It just
boob.
ruined the
Yeah.
whole thing. You just ruined the whole experience. Like
That would have
with
been
my
horrible
breath
for me.
and the baby. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I was
So
just
has
like,
this happened? Has this happened to any of you? Please let us know because I've never met anybody else that this
please.
happened to, although I don't think many people would share this. So thank you for being so vulnerable and willing to share this. I think for any mom, this would be a complete nightmare, like complete
Yeah.
nightmare. And also helps me. So, okay, in the Latino culture, in the Cuban culture, I'm going to talk about the Cuban culture because we're not going to generalize all Latinos. In the Cuban culture, there's this thing that my family at least complains about. Like the women in my family that save their boobs for breastfeeding complain that moms that want to save their boobs for their husbands are, shittier, lesser moms or whatever because they want to save their boobs. And I don't agree with this, by the way. I think if you want to save your boobs from whoever, that's for you to decide. That does not make you less of a good mom.
See your
Um,
boobs.
yeah, but when I used to hear this argument be said by my mom or my cousins or whatever, I always assumed it was that they wanted to keep the boobs perky, right? So if you're breastfeeding, then they're gonna sag and they're not gonna be perky for your husband or your boyfriend or whatever. But now that you mentioned this to me, and you're the first person I've ever heard this
It
from.
clicked a different thing, yeah.
Yes, I wonder if what they mean is that it's just like a weird, like, oh, I don't want to feel this towards my baby. I want to have this just for my partner. And it's just like a weird mind. So I think if a lot more of us had this conversation that you're having and shared this that you're sharing, there will be a lot less judgment from the other moms about who you're saving your boobs for. Because if I felt while breastfeeding like it sent me into a sexual place, and I was feeling that while my baby was supposed to be being nourished, I also would have an issue with breastfeeding, you know?
Yeah.
Like the minute you told me that,
not.
I remember going like, oh, I mean, I never had a judgment either way, but when you told me that, I was like, oh, that sounds awful. I would hate to feel that way. Yeah, like who the hell wants to feel that when you're breastfeeding a baby?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that would
it's
ruin
like, honestly,
sex
like
for you.
it took me a long time to even admit it. So like to even like accept that I was happening.
Probably.
So like it was all like a mind fuck in, like it was just all like so weird. And yes, again, like you don't hear anyone saying this. And I was just like, yeah, I am the weird one. So like I just kept going with life anyway.
It also probably took you a while to like even realize what it was. Like, why am I feeling so off about this? And then it's like, oh wait, because you know, like
yeah,
so
like why,
odd.
like because like even having like, you know, having intimacy with my husband, I just felt, you know, like you were explaining before, like you just feel so like, oh, no. And I felt guilty for like whenever I feel aroused, I feel guilty. Like I still feel like a hinge of guilt because I shouldn't feel like I shouldn't be feeling this. I still like 4 years later, and I still obviously like I now can get past over it, but like at the time, like it ended up in countless times of us not having sex because I just couldn't hack it. Like it was just not like, no, I need more time between sessions. Get away, sir, with your sword.
Horrible. Okay, I have a second question for you.
No. When was the last time you had sex? No. Joking. But that would be a fun one. I'm asking this when we stop recording. Well, when was the first time? Yeah, so not this postpartum, but like the previous one. When when you felt like that you could have sex? Like how long did it take you to have a sexual intercourse with your husband?
Was waiting for the ridiculousness. So my first time, I was hoping to have sex at my 6-week mark because we were going away for my birthday. But I was still bleeding and I had a risk of hemorrhage until almost 12 weeks postpartum. So we didn't have sex until at least 3 months after giving birth, which was awful. But I also didn't have the need. Like I was hoping to have sex at 6 weeks, but I didn't feel like having sex at 6 weeks postpartum. This time around, I'm ready and I've been ready, and we would have been able to have would have been able to have sex already. So it's 7 weeks today postpartum. I would have been able to have sex 3 weeks ago, like a 4-week mark, because I was already done bleeding. Everything was great. I was feeling fantastic, but we just haven't had a second. And then when we have had time alone, I'm exhausted. Like last night was perfect. You know, Atlas was asleep and she was alone in the bassinet. Alaska went to bed early. We were like, both of us were just looking at each other like, this will be the saddest sex of our lives. And then you have, I feel like I have this like, okay, it's the first time after baby, like our last time having sex was when I was pregnant, and I was like, you better have sex with me because I need to get this baby out. It wasn't even like, let's have sex, you know, I'm turned on, I love you, or anything like that. It was like, you better get it on. I need a hard on, get on me. You know, I'm like from the back, like just put it in, watch out, don't push the baby. And I was so big I could barely even move, you know. So it was like having sex with like a wall, like a very round wall, I imagine. It was just awful. It was just my poor. The guys do not get given enough credit. We are sometimes a mess. I was a goddamn mess his entire pregnancy. The fact that man could even get it hard enough to be able to have sex with me is a miracle. He deserves
he's gonna have so much fun editing this.
But so, you know, I would love for our first time to have sex after that fiasco to be, you know, awesome and hopefully, you know, great. Not like, yeah, just come, just do your thing, and just, you know, which is, which is what I felt like it would have been like last night if we would have attempted to do that. But both of us were too tired. Luckily, it was both of us and not just one of us, you know, because the awkwardness of like, But also,
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
feeling so Atlas is going through a cluster feeding time period, and I'm exhausted physically and emotionally, and I'm sleeping really well. I think because things start becoming a blur at this age of babyhood. But she's only waking up once or twice a night, which is a miracle because Alaska will wake up 17 times. So I'm feeling, more rested than I think I could be feeling if I had it any other way. But then there's also like, and I don't know if anybody with two kids can identify. I find that the most challenging part of the transition from one to two is that I feel like I'm being pulled at from both sides. And it's not just that I'm overwhelmed with everybody wanting something from me, but it's also that the mom guilt is pulling me on both sides. And it's a mind fuck at a different level that I was just not ready for.
Yeah,
we'll,
so
we'll,
there's no
we'll talk
time
about
for
that.
hanky panky.
I mean, there is time. It's just I
No
haven't
energy,
had,
sorry. That's what I meant.
yeah,
Energy.
there's no energy. Like
Mentally,
I'm sitting
yeah.
there, yeah, going like, oh.
It's fine. It's fine. Your first time will be magical, don't worry.
I'm not going for magical. I'm just going for some energy,
No
not
magical
starfish sex.
kingdom. No
I don't want
starfish
magical. I
sex.
just want no starfish sex. You know what I mean? Like I
Fine,
finally
fine.
can move. Can it just be like
I haven't
exciting?
heard that term in so long.
You're
Starfish
welcome.
sex is just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, my next question. What was wait, I need to read my questions. You know how I'll be. Oh yeah, so like what time? So when on the first one, like now obviously you don't have the time, you've clearly said it. But when the first one, when would you find the time? Would it be like you during the nap time, afternoon delight, or would you
Oh
guys be
yeah.
like nighttime? Yeah, afternoon delights, yeah.
No. So we would anytime that she would take a nap. I mean, not every time she would take a nap, just any time. Yeah, absolutely. So for a while, we had a house helper when we lived in Mexico, and I remember it was like we'd just be waiting for her to leave. Like if it was 12 and the baby was already on a nap and she was due to leave at 1, it was like, okay, it's okay, don't worry, you can finish thank you, bye. Just like hurry up, the baby's asleep. Because it's a lot easier to have the energy during the day, I feel like, and we were both home, so it
Yes.
was perfect. But also yeah, at night we had a really hard time with my firstborn putting her to bed every night, so no matter who did the bedtime routine, there was no way we were gonna have sex after because we were just exhausted.
Yeah, same here. It's just, yeah, no. After 8 p.m., I'm like, yeah, it
Mm-mm.
doesn't fly, my friend. The doors are shut.
Yeah, also we co-sleep, so it's like just
Please.
weird. Yeah.
Afternoon delight is much better.
Yes, how about you?
Same. I just
Same
told you.
afternoon delight. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, Jesus. And now I have forgotten.
8 p.m. 8 p.m. closing the shuts door. Had done here. No more guests coming in.
Okay, I have a question for you. Um, is there anything, or has there been a time where sex after, let's call it sex, it's not intimacy, we're just talking about sex here, has
Yeah.
been better after giving birth?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, right? Like
Yes.
there's usually, so I found that there is, I love that I'm answering my own question. Like I
Yeah.
found that there was like a
You're
time period.
dying to tell us this.
No, I actually wanted to hear from you, but you were so lukewarm about it. Like, yes, and that's
Well,
fine
I was
though.
like trying to think about it. I mean, I wasn't expecting it.
I find that after you give birth, there is a period of like, we've talked about it, like iffy, I can't do it, mom guilt, whatever. And then you have your renaissance of sex again, like intimacy renaissance with your,
Reborn. Yes.
yes. And I had that, which is when I got pregnant. I mean,
And then
we had good, we had good, like good moments and stuff like that. But I feel like we went through like a 6-month period of amazingness again, like sort of like the honeymoon stage. And then
oh wow, when did you
like,
find the time?
anytime. It was awful. My family walking on us, even like I told you
Oh
about this. It
yeah, I
was,
remember
yeah,
that. Yeah, that
we
was a
were
good
like
point.
teenagers. It was amazing. It was like, yes.
They're ready to have the second child, that's why people. Feel ready to have that.
How about you? Did you experience like you had a period that was like or
No,
something that was better?
No, it's not a period, but like now it's like a lot better than it was before for sure. And it's there's like a few times here and there that it's just like
Yeah, right.
drop the mic.
Drop the mic. But I also feel like the longer I feel like when you give birth or like when you become parents, you have to reconnect with your partner at a deeper level. Like it's not just like you have to find the sexiness, the beauty, the hotness, the whatever in the different parts of your relationship. And you have to get to know each other because you're no longer whatever the teenagers you were when you met or the 20-something-year-olds that you were when you met or, like loose at a club or something. Like you are now these people with these responsibilities and it looks different, right? But I also feel like the longer you are with your partner, you have to continuously have these like sexual or intimacy renaissance moments. Otherwise, I don't know, like if you don't have those, I feel like it dies out and it gets really boring. And I'm just really grateful that we continue having this because I have had many periods where I'm like, damn, are we just gonna have this boring ass sex? Like, when you have like the really quick sex when the baby like is about to wake up and you're like quickly or whatever. Like there was a period postpartum where like that was all we were able to have, like really quickly, nap time before she starts screaming or interrupted sex. And it's just like that's not, and we've never been away. We've never like had a whole night to ourselves where the baby was with someone else or something like that. So I think like it was a little bit more challenging to find that. And then when we finally found that period of like, awesome, this is just like at the beginning, the first 6 months of our relationship, like I thought that was incredible to be able to have that at almost 11 years, 10 years of being together, like having that again.
That is incredible.
That was pretty epic. I was like, yes. So now I have a lot of faith that we'll find it again.
I did it.
Yeah, I don't know how long it's gonna take, but hopefully we'll find it again.
Hopefully the next time we record an episode, we'll have some news.
I don't think the next time. It's not gonna happen in a week or two, but I mean, we first have to see. We first have to see how the workshop is. We gotta open the workshop for business first, and the first times are never the best, so we'll see.
But also, you were saying all the hanky panky quickie first. I'm like that though. I'm like, yes, we're not gonna stay here for 3 hours, my friend.
Oh, same.
I do not have time for this. We have to be good. We have to be powerful. But we have to be. Let's go. This
is a great poll and a great. So, hopefully, we can cut this into a reel. Let us know below in the comments if you enjoy sex when it's a long time, for long periods of time, lots of foreplay, lots of engaging in the sex, blah, blah, blah. Or if you prefer short, to the point sex. If you're a woman, if you're for some reason hearing this and you're a man, we don't need to know because we already know what you prefer.
Women. Mums, yeah, more actually, mums.
Moms, yes, it's true because
because like if you have the time, come on, When I had the time, I had the time. Right now, it's just like I have, I have.
If you're single, you just met. Like if you're single, you just met on a Sunday morning, lazy after a night of going out on Saturday. Then yes, by all means, let's take 3 hours. But I definitely appreciate concise, to the point. Efficient,
good, hardcore.
Oh,
I don't even like. As I said, I'm pretty smart.
My husband is gonna have a fantastic.
I expected my baby to come out of my vagina. Oh, it's just like this is too small. Don't fit his big head as well. Imagine.
Oh my God, he does have a big head. But did he always have a big head?
Yeah, he was already born with a big head.
Yeah, there was no way he was gonna make it out.
Mm-mm. I don't think so. I don't think so. It wasn't meant to be. It's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, let us know. Please let us know. We are so eager to know all your sexual details. No,
please.
Let us. This episode, my God, my marriage may change after this episode. But anyway, because my husband's the one that edits it, so he'll have a ball.
Warning, Roger.
Yes, I love that the warning comes at the end of the episode.
Oh yeah, sorry guys.
So, if you enjoy this sort of, filterless conversations, please give us a follow. We record an episode every single week. We're also on Instagram at Who Let the Moms Out pod. And we have tons of fun conversations on our stories and our DMs. Come and let us know how you like your sex after giving birth. We'd love to know.
Yeah. How was that about? And also, if you have any different topics that you want us to talk about that we can share, like this one, please share along. We will obviously be happy to talk about it with very, very much detail.
Yes, we will go into it. Anyway, thank you for listening, and we will see you next week.